Right, so we're joined now by Lloyd George, who's the course leader for creative music technology at the University of South Wales, and Tony Chapman, the founder of Keep Cardiff Live. And the reason that we're all in the room together, because I'm part of both things. I work at the University of South Wales, but I've also been interested in podcasting and interviewing for Keep Cardiff Live, is to talk about this fantastic idea, I think, of a virtual festival all about Cardiff, which is where Keep Cardiff Live comes into it, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks' time. I'll come to you first, Lloyd. Tell us a little bit about this festival, and it's kind of interesting how it's ended up being an online phenomenon with all that's going on at the moment.
Yes, it's happened this way by default, really. Originally, we had scheduled a number of live events over a number of days within central Cardiff area broadly, work that my students are doing as assess work, which are to put on live events. And, last year we did a good effort with the South by South Wales Festival. So it was falling to this lot's cohort to do the same, but of course with the virus pandemic, it's hit them hard, and as it's hit the music industry and Cardiff's entertainment and hospitality sector, so we had to do something about it.
Yes, excitingly then, I just had to upgrade the meeting so we could talk longer. So that just, that's kind of an insight really into how this whole thing is coming together, the online thing. Tony, it must be very exciting for you with Keep Cardiff Live to get involved with this. It's quite an unusual thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. We were really, really excited about it when we first heard about the idea. It's fantastic. We can help and we can be involved in it. It's exactly the sort of thing that we want to be involved with. I don't know if it's a first, but it certainly is going to be interesting to see how it develops. There's a lot of variety over the couple of days that are scheduled. There's a lot of local acts. There's a lot of things involving all different genres of music. So I think it's ideal for what we want to do. And with the current circumstances, like Lloyd said, we've got to do something. It's really difficult at the moment for artists, for musicians, for venues.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about Keep Cardiff Live and what the kind of ethos of it is, and why it's such a perfect partner for this?
Sure. I mean, the idea behind Keep Cardiff Live really was, as the title says, it's about live music, but it's about all types of music and other arts as well within Cardiff, but mainly music at the moment. And what we're looking at really is to highlight the talent in the area, in the surrounding area, to get involved with events, to review, basically to keep a presence of what is going on in the music scene in Cardiff. So there's podcasts and vodcasts, and there's also interesting on this day articles, all different sorts of things really. It's kind of a magazine format. And we have contributors who are from the university as well. And we have contributors who are in their 60s as well. So there's no age limits. It's just the main thing that we're involved in is passion about music. And if you've got passion about music, then you will want to be involved, and you want to promote what's going on in Cardiff, I believe. So there needed to be something done. There needed to be a website where people's stories could get out there. And where we can also offer a platform for young people and people of all ages to perform and also to get their opinions out there as well.
Yeah. And Lloyd, one thing I think we all have in common, I think we all support the fabulous Bluebirds Football Club. I believe that's true. Even though you're not originally from this area, but you've lived in the area for a long time. So we've all got that kind of affinity, haven't we, Lloyd, with Cardiff? Tell us a little bit about the festival in terms of what the kind of various nights, how they might play out. And, I'm thinking of people in Cardiff who want to hook into this, to give them a bit of flavour on it.
Yeah, I think what the individual events focus around are actually the kind of styles and genres that are popular in live music events in Cardiff, and that may well be contributing to its particularly unique flavour. For example, the opening night, indie's a huge thing in Cardiff, and the guys doing indie, which would have been at 10 Feet Tall, You know, we were all set to go with 10 feet tall to do that in the big top. Perfect kind of venue for it. We did a great indie night last year with, you know, acts like Red Telephone, for instance, and others. And we were all set to work there. And you know, I mean, pre-COVID-19, there is another story there about loss of music venues. But, you know, we'd picked up the mantle from that. The team worked really well. We got the Carolines booked in as our headline act, and Nathan Warren's on the bill. And we then looked to move into Tiny Rebel, and they were happy to be co-hosts for that. But then the COVID thing struck. So the indie guys, you know, they're so well embedded, I think, into Cardiff music scene. So many USW bands would identify with that particular aspect. So yes, the launch night, the first night, the Wednesday, is very, very indie rich. Moving through, the other very popular, you know, genre in Cardiff is hip hop, and that in itself has an interesting story, because when the guys wanted to do this, and they were working with you way back, you know, 6 months ago to look at the feasibility, very popular, particularly the grime kind of stuff, and that led to issues too, because I mean, we were going to be in undertone for that, and you know, they were laying down all sorts of laws. You know, you need 3 SIA guys here, and no tracksuits, and sports casual wear, and so you know, the live gigs come with their own baggage. Oh, nobody from Bristol. Another Cardiff City reference there. And now, you know, these guys have got to look at put in the work online. I suppose one of the things that they'll have there is that they won't have this, you know, folk devil kind of urban myth that everybody who goes to hip hop nights are out for trouble, and what have you. So yeah, interested to see how that works online, and we've parked them up. Friday, like last year, like a proper festival, 2 different codes going on. The early set being the rock metal mix, which still is, for all intents and purposes, in partnership with Fuel, although they can't open. That's shifted a bit. The artists that we were looking at are moving more towards acoustic rock and metal, I suppose. Yeah. But we're also looking at with a number of alumni who've done well in terms of being producers within the metal genre. So we're working towards getting some production masterclasses in as part of that setup with people from our area that have done or are doing quite well in the metal scene. The drum and bass event, which was going to be in Club, that great institution, Club Iverbach, you know, that was in many ways, in terms of a live event. I'll dechrau fawr, accent o Gogledd Cymru. You know, it would have been great, you know, Friday night, nice centerpiece gig for the whole thing. Had some, you know, really good names grubbing around on that scene there. Again, that'll shift online. Technically, for most of the DJ kind of stuff, it's a lot easier. All I hear at home since my son's been back, who's a producer in the Drum and Bass Network South Wales, is endless streams of drum and bass. I mean, you know, if he's not playing them, doing them himself there. So it's a very rich area that we can look at some more partnerships. On to the Saturday, you know, the house night is fantastic, well organised. You can go back to Human Traffic as a mythology. You can go back to Time Out in, of course, he was in the Bay, wasn't it? You know, they're in the College Games, and they moved it to the City Hall. Iconic house music promoters. I mean, they throughout the 90s, they were the top. You know, Cardiff became, even though it was a bit slow in picking up on all forms of rave music, the house music. Well, that's true. You know, look, Wales is ahead of the curve in rock, but has always been behind the curve in dance music, right? I've said it, and I'm old enough. But what Time Flies did, of course, was like many of the bigger models, like the super clubs, your Cream and your Gatecrasher and Ministry of Sound and stuff, was to establish huge brands around dance music, and Cardiff will forever be regarded as one of those places to go to for house music, as it is drum and bass, as it is hip hop music.
Yeah.
So that's in partnership with Walkabout, and that would have been tremendous because we had all the screens and stuff. Clearly, that's not going to happen, but we've got a really full diet. The schedule's been worked out for that again. Some exciting pull-ons as well. A couple of people will try and announce in further press releases for that, guests, which is a feature of what's happening. And then to finish it all off, the Sunday was always kind of singer-songwriter night and a bit of a bookend really to the indie night back at Tiny Rebel. And we've got some interesting stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Artists that we would have perhaps liked to have gone on, or maybe I would have, but it is a students' festival. They're working a few things out, so hopefully I can bring a few exclusives to the table. I know Tony is able to bring an exclusive to the table too.
Yeah, I'll bring Tony in on that because Tony's background is varied, and from what I know of Tony, he's been involved with kind of the entertainment scene in Cardiff for probably about 40 years or so. Musician yourself, being involved in most music venues across Cardiff, putting on acts in most of the venues across Cardiff, working as an agent, working with musicians, working at festivals, releasing records, doing a hell of a lot. So you got a lot of knowledge about Cardiff and the music scene, hence another reason for Keep Cardiff Live. So what's your kind of take on, maybe you want to talk about that, we'll come back to the festival in a second, but just wanted to say about the actual overall impact that you envisage might be on the music industry in Cardiff and South Wales as a result of the COVID-19 sort of situation?
I think it's going to be really, really tough. I mean, I think that's fairly obvious. There's going to be an economic downturn. Hopefully it's not going to be too severe, but when you watch the news and read the articles about it, and it's going to be difficult for businesses in general. And it's going to be difficult for musicians, acts, bands, promoters in general as well. One of the dangers, of course, is we might lose more venues. We've already lost a few in Cardiff. What we need to be doing is gaining venues in Cardiff. And we need to be thinking a bit differently, I think, as to how we've done things in the past.
Yeah,
haven't got
which
all
is
the
what we're
answers
doing
to
here,
that.
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I think, online is definitely something that's going to develop in the future. I think there's been a boom in it since we've had the virus. Whether it will stay in the format we've got now, because obviously people have leapt onto the computer to do things. But I think people will become creative and do more stuff online. That definitely will happen. I just think really it's down to people being creative and thoughtful about how we're going to do it, because we can't just rely on venues. As has been proven that they close down. So we have to start thinking outside the box about how we can put these events on, how we can put festivals on, where we can do this, and we do need the cooperation of people like the council to get involved and to start thinking about outdoor festivals and about community-based things, online-based projects, as we've just discussed, as well as the traditional venues. But I mean, venues are commercial ventures, so they are trying to make money. So I think you've got to bear that in mind as well. It's great to it's great to have acts playing in bars and pubs, social clubs. But also it's difficult for them in the fact that they've got to try and make money, and they've got to answer to people above them as well, shareholders as well. So it's going to be a difficult situation in answer to the question. But I think what it needs is people really to pull together, form a community. It sounds corny, but that's what we need, is for people to actually take action and to move forward with this. Otherwise, it's really going to affect live music in the city.
Yeah, well, we have to kind of conclude in a second. We've covered a lot of ground here, and the way I'm going to envisage it from both Lloyd and yourself is over the days to come, because when the festival kicks off in approximately, I think, 12 days' time, that day by day, hopefully there'll be new breaking stories coming through and acts being added on and different kind of strands and exciting sort of developments to it. But just to summarize for yourself then, Tony, because I'm not going to, I know you have an unusual act who wouldn't otherwise have been involved with the festival, who we are thinking an international act. I don't want to go into details on that yet, because that might be something you want to break as time goes by, but it's another interesting strand to this. How would you kind of summarize the attraction for you as Keep Cardiff Live in terms of what that site is about, and a partnership with somebody like Lloyd and the USW with an online music festival such as CMF. You know, why does it work so well for you?
Well, I think it's not just about playing gigs in Cardiff, is it? You know, it's about really making people aware of music. It's very difficult, as we've already explained, for musicians to make money out of music now. So we've got to be looking at different platforms. We've got to be looking at different connections. We've got to be looking at, we're still a European city. As you hinted at, there is somebody who is going to be involved in the festival who
has a love of Cardiff.
Who has an absolute love of Cardiff, yeah. And, you know, it's quite an interesting story, which will be revealed as we go along.
Yeah.
But, you know, what we're finding on Keep Cardiff Live is we've got a lot of interest from America, lots of European countries such as Italy, Holland, Poland, you know, around the world, really. So I think we don't have to be too insular with Cardiff. You know, we can promote ourselves around the world, around Europe. You know, we're an interesting place to visit, and we've got a lot to say, really. So it's not just about you know, just the live venues. It's about the whole concept of live music in Cardiff. Great.
Well, Lloyd, just briefly to close off for now. Obviously, we'll update as things go by. Did you want to send out a final rallying call to why people, you know, should get involved with CMF?
Well, I'm just total agreement there with Tony, really, with the kind of outward-facing aspect. I mean, you know, we are this European city and what have you, but a couple of points there. The remarkable work that has gone on, for instance, in the areas like Rhondda kind of Tower for years, Newport and what have you. These are places that have had their live music scenes, some of which don't even regard us down here in Cardiff, you know. And they might as well be in California, geographically speaking. But, you know, this is a great opportunity to reach out to people within our own backyard, even if it is just 10 miles up the road in Ponty, along with people who are in La La Land, 2,500 miles away. The music industry was the first globalized music industry, and it also was the first industry to coin the phrase the gig economy. Two things that, in reflection, the historians may look back at and say, oh my God, what were they thinking? But those are the realities of where we are, and it's really exciting to be part of it.
Great, thank you. And just to say, obviously, people can keep in touch with CMF, which kicks off on the 29th and goes through to the 3rd. Is that right, Lloyd?
That's correct, yeah.
So fortnight Thursday, first event, through obviously all the usual social media platforms, in particular big presence on Facebook, also Twitter, Instagram, etc., and of course through Keep Cardiff Live. So thanks very much, Lloyd. Diolch yn fawr iawn. And thank you, Steve. Thanks also, Tony. Good luck with the festival, and please, you know, let's keep these updates going out. Thanks very much. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.